What's up, YouTube? Zero here, and today we're going to do a gun comparison video between the Duke MK44 and the Loud Lullaby. These are two hand cannons in the kinetic slot in Destiny 2, so without further ado, let's get into the comparison. First, we gotta know where we're going to get these guns. The Loud Lullaby you can get on the moon. Just keep completing the story mission on the moon and you will eventually be able to unlock this gun. That's pretty straightforward. The Duke is a random drop. I've gotten a ton of them since I've been playing Destiny 2, so eventually most of y'all will be able to get this gun. Just keep playing the game and it will eventually drop for y'all. Both of these are a high impact, slow fire rate hand cannon. So what does that mean? It means you're going to be dealing a lot of damage. You're going to be firing very slow. Be careful for that because this type of gun is very unforgiving. It's the aggressive frame type. You miss one shot, especially in PvP, it could really cost you. The impact of these two guns is 92, very high damage. The rounds per minute is 110. Other than those two statistics, the Duke is actually better on every other statistic, every other stat that you can see when comparing these two guns in the game. Range, stability, handling, reload speed, and magazine size. The base stats are all in the Duke's favor. Now, some of the stats that you can't see, the aim assistance, and some of the recoil and stuff. The aim assistance is, again, the Duke has a little bit better aim assistance. The recoil, the Duke is a tiny bit lower on the recoil. However, when you're using the gun, if you can get used to it, depending on the role you have, it may be a little different. So you're going to have to pay attention to that. So now that we talked about the stats, let's get into the perks. Both of these guns have a couple of perks that are the same. There are 4 perks that you could get on both of these guns, which are Outlaw, Field Prep, Rampage, and Opening Shot. Other than that, there are a bunch of different perks on these guns. Let's go over the Loud Lullaby perks and then talk about the Duke's perks. So the Loud Lullaby, you can get Grave Robber, Threat Detector, Under Pressure, Subsistence, Explosive Payload, 4th times the Charm, Demolitionist, and Multi-Kill Clip. The Duke, you are able to get Rangefinder, Zen Moment, Triple Tap, Rapid Hit, Kill Clip, Hip Fire Grip, Moving Target, and Auto Loading Holster. It's also important to note that on the Duke you are able to get high caliber rounds, ricochet rounds, and armor piercing rounds. None of those you can get on the Loud Lullaby, and I know for those it's kind of important. Those are some pretty good perks when it comes to your ammunition in your gun, so that's just something to note as well. Just going over the perk wise, we already went over the stats, and just from listening to the stats, y'all can tell that the stats are better on the Duke. But let's get into the perks a little bit. Which one of these guns has the better of the perks? Well, it really depends on how you're playing the game and what game mode you're in. Me personally, I use a Duke with Rangefinder and Opening Shot, or Rangefinder and Moving Target with high caliber rounds inside the Crucible, and I love it. It's one of my favorite roles on a gun, and it's definitely one of my favorite guns. The Loud Lullaby, however, you don't have that one thing that really stands out when you're talking PvP wise. You may want to do some Under Pressure, Opening Shot. However, if you want some grenade energy back, you may want to go with Demolitionist, which is always nice. Explosive Payload, when you shoot the target, kind of lights up in the target's face a little bit, so that can kind of throw them off. So there are a couple of different things on the Loud Lullaby that you can go with. The Loud Lullaby, just looking at the perks, is a little bit better in those closer range scenarios. You have Grave Robber, you have Threat Detector, where the Duke, you really don't have much for that close range type of gun battles. You do have Hip Fire Grip if you like to hip fire, although these two guns I probably don't recommend hip firing as well. They do much better when you're hitting your precision shots. So if you're more of a close range type of person, you may prefer the Loud Lullaby over the Duke. However, both these guns, again, I would not tell you to use in close range. They're more the medium range type of guns. Overall, though, if I had to pick one of these for just the perks, if I'm looking at the perk wise, I gotta say I prefer the Dukes a little bit better. However, the Loud Lullaby has a lot of cool perks. Demolitionist is cool, explosive payload, subsistence, very cool perks to use. But I would prefer the Dukes a little bit better because it has a little bit more PvP-esque to it, where the Loud Lullaby may be more towards that PvE type of gun. So let's get into the different game modes now. We got PvE, we got PvP, then we could talk about the overall type. I kind of got into it a little bit when I was going over the perks. The Duke has more perks that are geared towards PvP. And the reason why I say that is, for those of you who have watched my videos before, you know that I prefer those perks that are really going to help me out with every gun battle. There are some perks that are fantastic, but they're not going to help you out in every gun battle. Outlaw, Rampage, those are some absolutely fantastic perks. Demolitionist, what else? We got Kill Clip. Those perks are fantastic. However, they're not going to help me out in PvP with every gun battle. And when I'm going into PvP, I prefer to have the perks that are helping me out with every gun battle. When you look at the Loud Lullaby, and you're just looking at the perks Loud Lullaby has, not the ones that are combined, you look at it and say, well, I got under pressure, I got explosive payload, that's about it. The reason why I don't include 4th times the charm is if you're hitting your precision shots in PvP, you should be killing them in about 2 to 3 hits. So that really you can throw out the window. The Duke, rangefinder may not always be active, but when it is, it's very important. It's a great perk to have in PvP. You also have Zen Moment, which can be good for you. Moving target is also fantastic, but you also on the Duke have high caliber rounds, ricochet rounds, and armor piercing rounds. And that's why when it comes to perks in PvP, I would lean towards the Duke. Now when it comes to PvE, this is a very interesting comparison when it comes to PvE, because it's really what do you want from your gun when it comes to PvE. The Loud Lullaby has really cool perks. Demolitionist gets you that grenade energy, so that's awesome. Subsistence is a fantastic perk. I've used this on multiple guns that have it, and if you're running through those hordes of enemies and it reloads your gun, partially reloads your magazine, you can continue to fire, and it's absolutely fantastic for hordes of enemies. So honestly, for hordes of enemies, I'm gonna go with the Loud Lullaby. It's just fantastic for those hordes of enemies because you have subsistence, you have multi-kill clip, you have demolitionist, which can help with your grenade, you have threat detector, grave robber, stuff that can help you up close and personal. So hordes of enemies, I'm gonna go with the Loud Lullaby. For bosses, however, I am gonna go with the Duke because you have a little bit better perks that are gonna help you out with those bosses. You have Zen Moment, Triple Tap, Rapid Hit. Those are very good, and again, I hate keeping going back to this, but high caliber rounds, ricochet rounds, armor piercing rounds can also help you out. So overall, if I had to pick just one of these guns, because I know y'all want to know which one of these guns do I prefer. I gave y'all a little bit of insight into which I prefer in which game modes. The Duke gets PvP. The Loud Lullaby I would probably use more for hordes of enemies, where the Duke I'm probably going to go with the bosses. Overall, it could depend on your role. Now, you may get a role on the Loud Lullaby that you love and on the Duke that you hate. In that instance, you may say, you know what, I'm going to go with the Loud Lullaby. However, let's say you got God rolls on both of these guns. Whatever you consider a God roll on one of these guns to be. For me on the Duke, as I've said before, I love rangefinder with high caliber rounds. And then for PvP purposes, I like moving target. So let's say you get that or opening shot. You may prefer Rampage though. And the Loud Lullaby, you get whatever. Let's say you get Demolitionist because that's awesome and explosive payload. which one am I gonna pick? And me personally, I'm a PvP type of player, so I'm gonna go with the Duke. Overall, I think the Duke just has a little bit more to it. It's better in PvP, is really good against bosses, and it still has some tricks up its sleeve to take out those hordes of enemies. You can still get Rampage on it, which is good for hordes of enemies, and you can get a couple other things, triple tap, rapid hit, which can be good for hordes of enemies depending on how well you shoot. It's also nice to have auto-loading holster, because you could flip to another gun and let the Duke reload while you're using that other gun. So ultimately, I am gonna choose the Duke. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Let me know which gun you pick and why. If you did, feel free to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more Destiny 2 content. Well, till next time. Peace.